Welcome back, folks. In today's podcast, we will learn that customer buying styles that we know and love haven't really changed, but how we serve those customers really needs to evolve. Welcome to the Intentional Success Podcast, where we unpack the top strategies, explore business trends, and drill down into best practices to help your live events production business grow and scale on purpose. I'm your host, Tom Stimson. So many years ago, I introduced my approach to evaluating, assessing customers, in a pre-negotiation mode. What is the customer buying? What's important to them? As a salesperson, I'm having to put together a proposal. I'm having to present it to them in terms of one they will appreciate and understand, and will help meet their needs and expectations so we can ultimately close the deal. And as I managed salespeople, I coach them to understand the customer buying style and look for the clues that you see in their ask. How did they approach you? Did they send an RFP? How is the RFP worded? What was your initial inquiry and conversation with them like? What words do they use? And it doesn't take long before you start to recognize the three primary buying styles. Now, my favorite, of course, are confidence buyers. Confidence buyers are people who want you to be the expert. They're looking for help. They're looking for support and guidance. They're going to give you a lot of leeway to take them to the right solution. Confidence buyers are great because, one, they're generally not price sensitive or super price sensitive, but everybody has a price point. How do we present that price? How do we make them feel that they're getting what they need? We have to approach them as a confidence buyer. I'm the expert. I will explain to you what you need. I will help you make the right decisions. I'm going to be a good steward of your money and your time. Now, value buyers are looking for something a little different. And value buyers, I always warn people, they are not price shoppers. Value buyers want to feel like they're going to get good bang for the buck, but they really want to feel like they're not getting taken advantage of. Yeah, they're a little concerned about leaving some money on the table, but mostly they want to make sure you're not cheating them, right? So there's a little bit of confidence needed to bring a value buyer up to their price point and help them get all that they need for a fair price. But the trigger words, the things that they're going to respond to, are making sure that there's enough transparency and enough clarity about what they're getting, and that they are making decisions in a timely way that will get them a fair deal. Control buyers, which were my specialty, and that's who I sold to mostly, are another animal entirely. Control buyers believe that they are the expert. Control buyers believe that they do a better job of defining needs, but they will use you to solve their problem. However, you don't get credit for solving their problem. They're going to take credit for solving your problem. Now, control buyers aren't always the lowest price point, though they do have an advantage in that being a control buyer, being able to gather multiple suppliers to quote on their jobs, being willing to go through that process of getting bids from multiple suppliers, they're intimidating. And for many salespeople who are not necessarily technological experts, many control buyers are experts in what they're buying, and they use that power to, intimidate you and get your price to the lowest possible point that they can get. And then, because they feel that they are smarter than their supplier, they're not afraid to hire a supplier who may not be the best at what they do, as long as they can do what's needed this time at the best price for the control buyer's customer. And very often a control buyer is a middleman. They are not the person spending the money. They're spending somebody else's money, and they want credit. They want to be acknowledged for having a good job of managing the supply chain. So these are all very normal people. You're picturing your customers right now. You're categorizing, oh yeah, this person is really a confidence buyer. This one's a value buyer. This one's a control buyer. But you're also going, well, wait a minute. Sometimes they're a confidence buyer. Sometimes they're a value buyer. And what is that? Well, this is normal. We're dealing with human beings. They have different traits. They have different needs at different times. For this project, Your confidence buyer might actually be a value buyer. For another project, they may even slip into control buyers because they really know exactly what they're doing. We do this all the time. This is all I need. I don't need any extra ideas. I don't need any frills. This is all the budget I have. Please don't make this hard on me, right? So we need to pay attention to what's going on with them right now in this particular transaction. Now, some other interesting things that we know and we've learned over the years about these different buyers is that confidence buyers expect you to make money. They understand that, you're in the business of making money, and, they don't care that you make money. It's okay that you make money. They expect you to make money. Okay. And so that's not their biggest consideration. Their biggest consideration is, am I spending my money well? And are you guiding me to good decisions? Do I trust you? So confidence buyers are very much about a trust situation, and they trust that you're going to make money, but they also trust that you're not going to take advantage of them. Now, value buyers think it's okay for you to make money, but they are more concerned about how much money they have to spend and is that being done well. They are generally more budget conscious, and they like to see bang for the buck. They want the option to choose, hey, if you'll do this, okay, I can give it to you at a lower price. You'll get pretty much the same results. We'll both be happy. However, if you go over here, I'm going to have to charge you more money because this is harder to execute, harder for me to do, harder for me to outsource, right? So they're willing to make those trade-offs with you. Okay. But again, they don't mind you making money, but if you could make a little bit less money and make their life easier, and you tell them that, you'll be their friend forever. Okay. Control buyers absolutely resent you for making money. Most control buyers have convinced themselves that you make too much money. It's part of their brand. It's part of their persona. They are generally procurement masters. They are, professional buyers, or believe they are, because let's face it, not all control buyers are as smart as they think they are. So sometimes we have to sort through that. We may not all be equipped to deal with control buyers. We may not all be the best companies to supply a control buyer. But at the end of the day, the negotiations are going to be tougher. They're going to be more finite, and there are ways to deal with all of them. So let's fast forward this to 2025, and we're in that era. We're no longer in the before times of line item pricing and rental-based businesses. We're out there selling services now. How does this change the way that we do things? Well, let's start off with this whole idea of itemized pricing in the first place. Itemized pricing is a passive-aggressive weapon. Think about it. If you're using itemized pricing with a confidence buyer, you're going to confuse them, and you're going to deflate their confidence in themselves and therefore in you, because it'll feel to them like you're asking them to be responsible for reviewing that list to make sure everything is correct. Is this everything you need, sir? How would I know? I have no idea what I need. That's what I'm hiring you for. Why are you presenting this to me? So line item pricing is not a good way of working with confidence buyers. It kind of wrecks all the hard work you've put in to gain their trust and confidence in you, and showing them this that says, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. Would you double check my work? Now, value buyers also react a little bit that way to your itemized, but they would rather just see, tell me what's included and what's not included. Don't tell me all the things because I don't understand it. Just remind me of what I said I wanted and you said okay, and what I said I wanted and you said couldn't be included. Just put those things in there. So value buyers like to see the inclusions and exclusions, and it gives them some power back to help them stay within their budget and make them feel like they're a little bit more in control. Now, control buyers, when you're dealing with them, you've got to do line item pricing because you need an extremely tight list and an extremely tight scope of work to go along with it. Okay. A line item list is not a scope of work. It just tells you what tools you're going to bring. The scope of work says what these tools will do. And if you don't define what those tools will do, the control buyer will. No, that will absolutely do this. If you guys don't know how to make it work, I hired the wrong company. You guys need to bring in different equipment. You need to bring in different people. They will take control, trust me. So make sure that you're very clear about what capabilities you are selling with this package. Okay. And then when there are changes, and there will be with control buyers, because they're hoping that you'll make a mistake and have to eat the change, you'll be able to say, no, here's the scope of work. Here's the list of equipment. Here's your new ask. It doesn't fit the scope. It doesn't fit the list of equipment. Therefore, this is clearly a change order. Okay? And you're going to have to be that blunt and explicit with them. So selling to these folks in this new normal is a little bit different. You're still managing margin. You're still looking at your costs. And no one here is necessarily a price shopper. Okay? They may have a sharp pencil or expect you to have a sharp pencil, but they aren't necessarily price shoppers. And price shoppers are a whole nother dysfunctional type of buyer that we often just need to avoid. So when we get to the point where we know we're going to have to present the proposal, confidence buyers, you want to let them know that all the yeses are built into this proposal. Okay? Let them know that you're anticipating needs that they haven't thought about, and those things will be there. And when you get onto the job site, you're going to be able to say, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can support that. One, because you do have some more margin in this job and you're willing to do the extra things for them. But two, because nobody told you that you can't bring something because they're trying to save money. They just said, tell me what you need to bring, and they trust you to bring the right stuff, which means you brought a bag full of yeses and you're going to take great care of them. Now, value buyers want those limits. Remember those inclusions and exclusions. They're going to get some yeses, but they're going to get yeses with limits, right? And those limits give them the confidence and give them guidance to make decisions on job site to stay within their budget, okay? Control buyers, I just talked about, they think they have more choices than they do, but they negotiated out and engineered out most of their choices. So be very clear that here's the scope of work and here's the itemization on here. And this is a change. Do you want to make it or do you not? Oh, by the way, please sign here. So a little bit new way of selling, but with your new pricing tools and knowing how to sell from cost and add margin to it, the line items are not going to be the important part of your life. Okay. The costs are what's important. Cost plus margin gets you to your price. Line items are tools that matter mostly for control buyers. Okay. Everybody else, they just want to know that the scope of work is going to be met and how many times you're going to say yes when there's a change. So take this information, pay attention to who you're selling to. You'll get a better deal. Okay. You will have better outcomes and people will be happier that you have met their expectations. Hey, thanks for listening.
If you want to find out more about today's episode, go to trstimson.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes, related links, and tons of other valuable resources. If you haven't already subscribed to the Intentional Success Podcast, please do so, and I'd greatly appreciate if you would rate and review the show. Also, if you think you might be a good fit to work together or want more information about the Stimson Group, I'd love to hear from you. Visit trstimson.com for more information.